Welcome to this quantum security and defense presentation, Building a Quantum User Community. And thank you for being a valued member of our community. Amara Graps is a Latvian-American award-winning scientist with a PhD in physics from the University of Heidelberg. Amara has a background in astronomy and planetary science and quantum technologies with companies including Baltic Sandbox Ventures, the Planetary Science Institute, Deep Space Industries, and Global Quantum Intelligence. A prolific researcher, with experience in investment due diligence and governmental research, Amara's academic career has spanned leading academic organizations, including the National Institute of Astrophysics, Rome, Max Planck Institute for Nuclear Physics, NASA Ames Research Center, and the University of Latvia. Amara has authored various publications and reports for international clients, including the European Commission, the European Space Agency, and the European Investment Council.
This talk was written in March. When I wrote it in an outline form, and after I brainstormed and got everything down on paper and then into the computer, I realized it was probably my most impactful paper ever, even though it was still in outline form. And so it's just maybe a labor of love of 30 years or 40 years because I love building communities. So here is it's kind of empirical methods that have worked in the different communities that I've built. And and I hope that some of these resonate with you. So you see the outline here, and we'll go through each of them. The way that I define ecosystem is similar to how you might build and define an ecosystem for countrywide ecosystem. Now you can break it in smaller chunks for regions or states or provinces, and that will work too. The communities idea is a little bit different in that if you're a company or a research institute and you want to build your community around you, then it's more from you to them rather than a policymaker building an ecosystem. So there's a little bit of difference there, but they share a lot of the same ideas. So, so I would like to begin with why we need this. And the first reason is that if you look at the number of quantum companies, there are about 1,000 or so, or no, maybe 12 or 1,300. And half of them are less than 50 employees. And so with such small numbers, their network reach is also small. And that means that they have fewer resources to reach potential clients and employees and a user base. So what I'll follow up with is maybe catering to them, how you can build out with your small company, assuming you're less than 50 people. Now, large companies can help, and the ones who are philanthropic oriented can really help. And I have a few examples of them inside, but this is more from the smaller company perspective. So we'll start with the who. People power our community. And if you look at the talent shortage, which is frequently written about and mentioned, one good way to meet that talent shortage is by upskilling the staff inside your own organization. So there are reports that say, well, we really only are missing about 600 quantum physicists in the whole world that we need to build our companies. And that's not that much when you look at the global perspective. But you don't want to look outside your company if you can begin from inside your company first, because that will be easier for you, especially if you're small. So this is also from that World Economic Forum paper that was in the previous slide. And what I wanted to point out is that when you upskill from the employees inside your company, if you are in an IT or computer-related business, probably about half of the company is thinking about quantum. They know that it's coming and that they need to learn something about it and be prepared for it. And so this heat map probably shows you, if you look on the bottom with the, I don't know if my pointer, can you see my pointer? Maybe. So this is the information and technology services. Yeah, great, thanks. And it goes on this column here, and this across is quantum and encryption here. So the highest percentage of people who think you need to upscale are in this domain of an IT company. And then alongside here, you have other technology services and trends where this here is the government and public sector. Here is energy technology. Those are like a quarter of your company think you need to know about quantum. Insurance, pensions, all the way over here is telecommunications. That's almost 30%. So I think this heat map is quite useful to understand who are thinking about upskilling and how your company might be prepared for the future. Okay, next slide. And along the way, I just want to put a plug in for women at sea level because there has been some papers that have shown that companies that have a few women at the top level, while you're building your workforce, also help you be more profitable. And I think one reason for that might be is they definitely have their view on the bottom line, but they're also community oriented in their perspectives that could help you in building your ecosystem and find those niches that will serve the community and bring more clients to you. So I want to tell you first about the 3 communities to engage. And I found out about these 3 in a funny way. And this is a little story I'm going to tell you. So the 3 are first the STEM educated public. So you might consider them let's say undergraduate level university with some engineering or physics or something, maybe first year college where they have that kind of understanding. They know calculus and trigonometry and some engineering ideas. And then there's professionals who are higher up, but not necessarily in quantum. In fact, not in quantum. Maybe there's some other IT or some other physics or engineering field, some deep tech. And then there are the experts in quantum technology. So those are the 3 communities that I'm going to be suggesting that you engage. Okay, so I found out about these through Wikipedia. And the way I found out about it was when I was analyzing the optimization landscape and looking at D-Wave's influence in that area. And you probably know that when it first arrived on the scene in 2015, it had a close relationship with Google AI. And they were making very loud noises, and the hype began to be quite high. And what I noticed when I read these press releases, understanding what it was that they were promoting is we know quantum annealing is their area of their quantum computer. It's not a universal quantum computer. It's a special one. And so when they made their announcements, if you look at the Wikipedia entry for quantum annealing, there was a spike right around those announcements, exactly on the days. And you can find out the statistics. It's open. You go into the page views analysis in the bottom of any Wikipedia page, and you can see how many accesses to that entry. And it's a really good way to see if your community are getting you. And what happened with D-Wave is that about the month of this announcement, they started putting out videos that explained what quantum annealing was. But it seemed it wasn't getting out enough because many people went to Wikipedia to try to understand this concept. So on this day, right around these press release announcements, there were 9,000 accesses above average to understand what what quantum annealing was. So I call this the educated public because Wikipedia is kind of like that. So then there's Scott Aronson's blog, and he's this curmudgeonly guy who has a very smart group of IT and physics people reading his blog, and he's been analyzing D-wave and quantum annealers since then, way back. And he was quite critical. Now he's a bit of a convert, but not necessarily to quantum annealers. He loves photonic quantum computers, by the way, a lot. But his group of colleagues were analyzing D-Wave's announcements, and D-Wave themselves would enter the conversation of his blog. They would answer a question, but not very completely, and then they would leave. It's like they're intimidated a little bit by Scott. And so what I understood from watching their conversations is that they weren't engaging as well as they could. And Scott Aronson's colleagues were really frustrated, and they started, they even came up with a benchmark for D-Wave, because it was expensive and not user ready. And if you have a group of frustrated deep tech people making benchmarks for your expensive quantum computer, you need to do a better job engaging your community, because that wasn't good advertising for D-Wave when this came about. So I'd say that D-Wave was a little bit late with engaging this deep tech community. So fast forward 10 years. This February, we had another announcement, and this time it's from Microsoft. And it's about the topological quantum computer that they've been working on for years and years. And the last time they made an announcement, they had to retract a paper because there was a claim that they made that wasn't substantiated. And it wasn't that their science was bad, but they needed to justify their claim stronger. So this year, when they made that claim, the people who were familiar with the previous time looked at those aspects of their claim, and they were not satisfied. And they started pushing back, I would say, on Microsoft. And so what we find is another group of people who went to Wikipedia to understand Majorana fermions. So I would say this is a little bit more educated than STEM educated public, probably professionals, but not in quantum technology, because they went to Wikipedia. But this is a huge community, 30,000 times above average accesses to this entry. And so these are the people you want to reach. These are people who are curious. They want to find out. There's a lot of them. And I think if you can get them as allies, that could do a lot to build your community. So keep this in mind. And if you're wondering about your community, go to Wikipedia and page view accesses and see the numbers, and you'll see what I mean. So
You can watch the full presentation online at Quantum Security Defense. Simply search for quantumsecuritydefense.com.